I love Pokemon cards. And if you're watching this video, you probably also love Pokemon cards. And the market has been a bit crazy recently, with scalpers acting worse than children, stock being hard to come by, and even when you find it, you'll be lucky to even get it at RRP. This all sounds a little familiar, right? Well, don't click away thinking you've already seen this video. This video right here is the extended director's commentary special extra added CGI version of Generation 1 of the world's most expensive national dex, now including every single Pokemon card from Generation 1. For those of you that have already seen the first one, thank you.
Thank you very much!
But I assume you don't need to see the rules again, so right here, this is where you need to skip to for the cards to start. But despite these challenges, us true fans persevere and attempt to complete our sets, remembering that these cards are a game and they're there to have fun with, and not investments like many people seem to think. The sooner those guys go back to selling sneakers, the better for everyone. One of my favourite ideas that's come out of Pokemon card collecting is the National Dex collection, collecting a card for every single Pokemon in the National Dex. Deep Pocket Monsters did a great set of videos with that enormous Voltex binder. It was a huge effort. I mean, literally huge. Look at the size of that binder, and while all National Dexes are great, I have made it my mission to find out about the world's most expensive National Dex, finding the most expensive version of every single Pokemon card, from Bulbasaur right the way through to Pesherant. Now, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show off all of these super rare and expensive cards in person. But why, might you ask? Well, I have a mortgage. I have bills. I have an epileptic dog with very expensive medication. So, bar a miracle of winning the Euro Millions or blowing up on this platform, this National Dex will forever be a dream. Or maybe I'm just creating a shopping list for an extremely wealthy oligarch with a taste for Pokemon. While researching this National Dex, I did set myself out a few rules. Firstly, English cards only. This is easier for me to compare prices, and also I've only ever collected English cards, so it's what I know. We're using raw prices only. None of that graded cards in here. I personally am not a fan of graded cards. That might be a hot take, but I like my cards raw. And finally, all card values were taken from the Pokemon card collecting app Collector. It's a great app for organising your collection and looking at prices in the market, but I won't say any more than that because they're not paying me to do so. But if you're listening, hit me up. And yes, I know, some people will argue that I should be using TCG Player or Price Charting or some other website because they are more reliable, so on and so forth. And that's fine, and I was fully aware that it was never going to be an exact science getting this National Dex down because, the continual fluctuations in the market, but I'm trying my best here. Okay, I'm back with another interruption, but last one until we get to good stuff.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
All the prices were accurate at the time of the original recording. So before people start commenting saying, well, actually the price is now X, I get that. But hey, this is all a bit of fun, so let's just have some fun. And while it is a lot of fun to make this video and to have made the first one, it also takes a lot of time and effort. So if you enjoyed this series, it would be great if you like and subscribe to the channel. Okay, let's get on with it. Some of these cards are rare as hell, and I struggled with, should I only include Pokemon cards that are widely available? But then I was thinking, this is living in a world where I have infinite money to make this Pokemon cards collection, so I'd find a way to make it happen. Now, with the rules out of the way, let's look at the world's most expensive National Dex, starting with Gen 1 in Kanto. Also, just a quick note, this took me a lot of time to research and put together a spreadsheet and all sorts of things, so if you hit that subscribe button down there, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks. Kanto arguably has the most famous Pokemon in the entire series. Gengar, Mew, Mewtwo, Dragonite, Machamp, Pikachu, and Charizard. So we can definitely expect some big hitters here. But how much do you think Generation 1 will total altogether? Leave a comment below and watch to the end to find out to see if you're right. It only really makes sense if we start with Bulbasaur, right? So, what's Bulbasaur's most expensive card in all of Pokemon TCG? Well, it's the Reverse Holo from the Legendary Collection, released in 2002. This set essentially took all the best cards from Base, Jungle, Fossil, and Team Rocket and created a Legendary Collection. These Reverse Holos are really impressive, especially when you compare them to Reverse Holos of sets nowadays, where in some instances you can't really tell the difference. But the piece of information we all really want to know, what is the current market price? Well, according to Collector, to get you the Bulbasaur Reverse Holo Legendary Collection, it's going to cost you a cool £135.65. We can then obviously add Ivysaur to this, whose biggest hitter is the first edition base set card, clocking in at £73.45. These shadowless cards are hugely coveted in the Pokemon market, and we have our first right now. But I think now it's time for our first truly legendary Pokemon with the big flower power of Venusaur, with this, the first edition base set. And Collector marks this cards up at a whopping £873.39. So let's add that to our total. 3 cards in, and we're already in the 4 digits realm. Yeah, you're going to want to strap in and hold on to your wallets for this video. Just these first 4 cards probably give you a sense of just how expensive this National Dex is going to be. So leave your guess in the comments of the most expensive card and the total value of the National Dex. No, go ahead, really, I'll wait.
Well, we're waiting.
We can add the other 2 starters with Charmander and Squirtle, both sharing the same set as Bulbasaur, with the Legendary Collection Reverse Holos, and each coming in with a nice price tag to boot. The Middle Evolutions are up next, with Charmeleon and Wartortle, who always had a bit of an attitude in the anime, much more than the starters, and Charmeleon's definitely stuck through with him when he evolved. Their card counterparts, though, are these Wizards of the Coast promo, and first edition base set. Now, for the most expensive card in this generation. Is anyone surprised that it's a Charizard card? This Pokemon has some of the highest value cards in all of Pokemon, and it feels like whenever it's involved in a set, it automatically makes it the de facto chase card. But with so many choices, which will come out on top? The Shining Charizard from Neo Destiny? The Charizard Gold Star from EX Dragon Frontiers? Maybe Blaine's Charizard from Gym Challenge? Okay, surely the first edition base set, coveted as the holy grail of Pokemon cards. Yeah, not even close. The most expensive Charizard card, and card in general from the first generation of Pokemon, is the Secret Rare from the Skyridge set released in 2003. This was a huge shock to me, as I, like many, would have thought the first edition would have come in and taken the crown. But let's not take anything away from this card. It is a really nice illustration, and with it being over 22 years old at this point, surely the price will only go up and up. As we go down the list, some Pokemon surprise me.
Surprise!
For example, number 9, Blastoise. You would have thought, like Venusaur, it's the first edition base set that's going to be the big hitter, but it's actually Blastoise from Trainer Deck B.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm not surprised if you haven't heard of this. I hadn't either before this. Trainer Deck B was a deck that was released for people to playtest the game before base set was released, and get an understanding for how the game works. Inside of it is a non-holo Blastoise, which is currently going for £901.95. And I think the fact that this deck wasn't sold publicly, but only at like special league events, I'm going to say that's probably a very conservative price. On to my favourite bug buds now, Caterpie. This cute little caterpillar has its most classic card as its most expensive, with the first edition base set card with a value of £41.05. Now, as much as I love Pokemon cards, I'm also very money conscious, and I don't think I could ever see myself spending £40 on a Caterpie card. I'm so sorry, little guy. Carrying on down the list, we start adding more and more cards to our National Dex. I expected many of the most expensive cards in this generation to either be the Reverse Holo Legendary Collections or the first edition base versions. However, there were some outliers. Anyone ever heard of Topps? Nowadays, Topps are more known for their sports cards, but between 1999 and 2004, Topps made 11 different sets of Pokemon cards, heavily featuring the anime and movies from the time. A set was released for the original 151 Pokemon, with special cards featuring scenes from the original episodes. Sets for the first 2 movies, Mewtwo Strikes Back and Pokemon Movie 2000, which again featured key scenes from the movies. I loved these cards as a kid, usually because they were a little bit cheaper than the normal Pokemon cards. If you went to the right shops, you could pick them up for like £1 to £2 per pack, and I have actually been slowly working on completing the full sets. But not these Topps Chrome editions of Metapod. For each Pokemon in these Chrome sets, there were 4 different editions of the holofoil. Crazy levels of collecting and cash needed to master set these bad boys. Metapod evolves into Butterfree, duh, and the most expensive Butterfree is this version from Expedition. A lovely card, but I actually prefer the original Jungle version. It is time to say bye-bye Butterfree though, as we move on to check out Weedle. I'm guessing this is everyone's second favourite bug line from Kanto. And for Weedle and Kakuna, we have these 2 Reverse Holo Legendary Collection cards. Beedrill was going into the binder with this Skyridge card for £107.11. but I guess you do get 3 for 1, so not too bad of a deal. The big bird lines from Kanto has a little bit of variety. Pidgey from Tops, Pidgeotto with slick back hair.
It's just slipped back. I just slipped it back.
From the first edition base set, tops off with Pidgeotto from the first edition jungle. Rattata and Raticate sneak into the binder with this reverse holo legendary and Tops Chrome versions. And yes, I read in the comments that some people don't like these cards and it should be TCG cards only. And that's fine, everyone has their own opinions. But I have so much nostalgia for these cards as a kid, not always being able to afford the regular packs. So finding these and letting me be involved in the hobby to a slightly different degree and expanding my love for Pokemon will always make sure that these cards have a place in my heart. Spearow and Fearow give us this reverse holo legendary. Do you see a pattern evolving here? But then we get our first card from Gym Heroes, the Lieutenant Surge Fearow. I love the Gym Hero and Gym Challenge sets. For some reason, including the trainer with their Pokemon gives the Pokemon a bit more backstory, like fighting alongside their gym leaders. So it's really, really cool. And if I'm ever able to get hold of a pack of Destined Rivals, maybe I'll enjoy that set as well. But let me know what your favourite older sets are below. Ekans comes slithering in with this Expedition, and Arbok is another Tops Chrome version with a huge £93.95 price tag. Jesse would be proud. I guess though we should probably look at the mascot now, right? The main yellow mouse himself is Pikachu. What are your guesses? The elusive red cheeks Pikachu? Or how about the very artistic Pikachu with grey felt hat in the style of the great Van Gogh? Well, it's actually another card from the EX Holland Phantoms set. The Pikachu Gold Star card with a current market value of £1,553.36. A big price for Ash's main man. Raichu never really got the same love as Pikachu, and his most expensive card is the Neo Destiny Shining Raichu. But at a meagre £281.86. Poor guy. That's merely walking around money compared to some of the cards on this list. Let's continue through the original 151. I wish I knew the poker app to make this a little bit quicker for everyone though. Sandshrew is a Trainer Deck A card, similar to the Trainer Deck B we saw with Blastoise, but with different Pokemon. Deck A was Brock's deck and Deck B was Misty's, hence the Rock-type Sandshrew being here. Sandslash is another Tops Chrome, and I'm amazed if any purists are still watching at this point. The female Nidoran line is as follows, with a reverse holo legendary, Tops Chrome, and this Skyridge Nidoqueen with a combined value of £356.31. But how do the boys fare? Another Tops Chrome for Nidoran, a reverse holo legendary collection for Nidorino, and finally this Aquapolis Nidoking. Looking pretty mad. Maybe because he can't afford his own card. I feel your pain there, mate. That gives us a grand total of £904.34. Almost £1,000 for these 3 cards. One of the most expensive Evolution lines outside the starters. Clefairy and Clefable are fan favourites in Generation 1. And you've got to be big fans to shell out £890.10 for these Tops Chrome and first edition base set cards. Vulpix gives us our first Platinum series with this shiny version. I actually had to look up and check if this was a shiny variant of Vulpix. I've never been a shiny hunter when I played Pokemon. I think I've only ever encountered one in my entire Pokemon playing life, and that was a golden Geodude in Fire Red. And then we've got Ninetales with this classic first edition base set card. We've seen some of the oldest Pokemon cards on this list with the Train Deck A and B, but this is the most modern so far. The Cosmic Eclipse Jigglypuff, £95.30 added to our total, and our first Generation 4 Pokemon popping up. But will this be the most expensive Lopunny card? Subscribe to get notified when the Gen 4 video drops. I think it's time for a bit of quickfire here. Wigglytuff, first edition Jungle. Zubat, Tops Chrome. Golbat, first edition Team Rocket. Oddish, Gloom and Vileplume, all Tops Chrome. Paras and Parasect, Aquapolis. Venonat and Venomoth, Skyridge and Tops Chrome. Diglett, we have the Skyridge card and another Tops Chrome for Doug Trio. Now, our favourite talking cat. No, not Garfield. No, not Top Cat either. Meowth. These Pokemon give us an evolution line of early 2000s CGI cards, something that is super nostalgic for me, even if it hasn't aged well. It reminds me a little bit of the Beast Wars cartoon. I'd love it, but my god, time has not been good to that CGI. Also, this Meowth card, do we know why he's in that pose? Or do we want to know? Psyduck from Unified Minds shares its most expensive card with Slowpoke, so we'll have to add 2 versions of this £112 and 12 pence card to the decks. Golduck gives us our second gym card, although this is from Challenge and not from Heroes, with Missy's Golduck First Edition, with a respectable value of £62 and 84 pence. Fun fact, this gym challenge set in Japan has 2 banned cards. Take a wild guess why you think these 2 cards are banned. Mankey and Primeape go bananas with this Reverse Holo Legendary and Aquapolis card. Aquapolis has some beautiful cards in the set. This is not one of them. Our favourite 2 Fire Dogs both come from the Topps Chrome set with some huge price tags attached. But I guess if you buy a pedigree, you gotta pay top dollar. But in all seriousness though, adopt, don't shop. We then get the Tadpole line of Poliwag, Poliwhirl and Poliwrath. Poliwag starts things off strong with this Topps Chrome edition with a value of £93 and 95 pence. Poliwhirl and Poliwrath are a little bit different. These cards are league and tournament staff cards. These very limited cards are given out at Pokemon tournaments and more recently pre-release events to people working at the event. These older cards are extremely rare, but remember, this is a world where money is no object, so I shouldn't have any issues getting someone to part way with this Poliwrath staff card. Abra and Kadabra continue our trend of being from either the Legendary Reverse Holos and the First Edition base set. But Alakazam comes to the binder from the Crystal Guardians with this gold star with a value on collector of £326 and 51 pence. Me personally, I would have expected the First Edition base set to come up trumps, but maybe this is me talking with my rose-tinted nostalgia glasses on. Our next 3-stage evolution comes in with the Machop line, another Topps Chrome, then a Trainer Deck A Machoke, and then finally this hugely expensive National Championship Staff Machamp card. £711. 711! That's like a week's rent for a 1-bedroom cupboard in bad parts of London. The Bellsprout line is much more budget friendly to our binder. See, Weepinbell was so sad. It is actually one of the cheapest cards in this set. Tentacool, or as I like to call it, Zubat of the Seas, is yet another Reverse Holo from Legendary Collection, and then a pretty nice Aquapolis card for Tentacruel. See, Pokemon Company, why you gotta do my boy Primeape so bad, where you can make such nice cards in a set? Geodude and Graveler are yet again Topps Chrome and Reverse Holo, and then we get a big Golem card from the Skyridge set. I don't think you would have ever been able to use this in a deck back in the day, but it's cool art, so I approve. Shiny Ponyta joins the binder alongside a very obscure Rapidash card. This £105 and 33 pence card came with the Nintendo Power Magazine in their Scantastic special with another promo Ho-Oh card as part of the Expedition set. Now, maybe I'm about to out myself as an idiot, and it was going to happen eventually, but I had no idea that you could actually scan these cards into the Nintendo Game Boy Advance, and some of them would unlock little mini games. I wasn't really collecting cards at the time when this set was released in 2002, and I was expanding my horizons a little bit into more sports and stuff like that. But yeah, super cool, and it makes sense why they're called e-reader series cards and stuff like that. And it's also just way cooler than any QR codes you could ever produce these days. We have already discussed Slowpoke with a card that it shares with Psyduck from Unified Minds, but if you combine Slowpoke with the most expensive Shelter card later on, then it gives us the Team Rocket Slowbro, but it doesn't get an upgrade in price. Magnemite and Magneton attract plenty of money out of our wallet with these Legendary Collection and Skyridge cards for a combined £218 and 72 pence. Farfetch'd, Dodura and Dodrio come to us from Emerald, and then 2 more Reverse Holo Legendary Collections, all for pretty reasonable prices in the context of this binder. Seal is our 3rd Reverse Holo Legendary Collection card in a row, followed by this pretty nice Skyridge card for Dugong. Grimer and Muck have these Legendary Collection and Aquapolis cards. Much like Primeape though, not a lot of love shown here for Muck. We then get the cheapest card in our most expensive card collection for Generation 1. Poor little Shelter. But I actually like the art style here. I have no idea what it's called, but it reminds me of the cartoons that you used to get in the newspapers. Yes, I am that old, but it's cute. I like it. Cloyster does get a little bit of an upgrade on the value side of things, but both still have earned their place in the binder. The Ghosts are up next, and the price of our Gengar card is gonna haunt me for a while. Ghastly and Haunts are our Legendary Collection. Who would have guessed it? Then we have Gengar. Gengar's card was a bit of a surprise. I originally expected it to maybe be the alternate art from Fusion Strike, or even the Neo Destiny version, but it's actually this, the Staff Sword and Shield promo card going for an eye-watering £2,630.65. Now, I'm not sure what happened with this card, but the fact that at the beginning of this year it was going for less than £400 makes me think there's some sort of market manipulation going on there. What do you think? Onyx is another legendary collection reverse holo, followed by Drowsy, who gives us one of our more modern cards in this generation. This Tomokazu Kamiya, apologies for my pronunciation, illustrated card came from Scarlet and Violet base set. You remember this card, right? That people were pumping and dumping a few months ago, trying to generate FOMO so that people bought the card at the hugely overinflated prices, right? The only thing I can compare this to is when those awful influencers release those meme coin cryptocurrencies. It's all hype, and then it's smoke and mirrors for a very small amount of people to make money off of everyone else. Don't ever get sucked into those things. It's now down to a more respectable price for what is a beautiful art style. And while this Drowsy is nice, it's nothing compared to this Whelmer card. Look at it, it's so derpy, and I love it, from the same illustrator. Hypno gives us a pretty menacing card using Dream Eater, and it's worth twice as much as its unevolved counterpart. Krabby and Kingler are both from Expedition set, and it might surprise a few people, but Kingler, the big crab guy right here, is one of my favourite Pokemon. I know the saying goes that every Pokemon is someone's favourite, and Kingler's mine. I think it all came from watching him battle in the Pokemon League in the anime. Such an underappreciated king. Voltorb is an interesting case in Generation 1. Most of the top value cards for this Pokeball Pokemon are valued around £15 to £30 with a Storm Front and Reverse Holo Legendary card, but we have a bit of an outlier. This Professor Program stamped Reverse Holo Voltorb from 151. Now, I hear you ask, what is the Professor Program and where did this card come from? Well, I did a little bit of research, and during the North American International Championships, these cards were given to select members of the staff and judges. High-level mentors would randomly surprise judges with scenarios in a game where a player would make an irreversible gameplay error, and they would have to, answer how to resolve the issue and how to settle the match. If they passed and gave the correct answers, they'd be rewarded with one of these rare cards. It's a really nice incentive for these staff at these events, who must have such a long weekend to judge all the different matches going on and keep a careful eye on everything. I've never been to one of these events. They do look like great fun, but I just know I wouldn't be very good at actually battling the cards. I mean, my TCG pocket record speaks for itself. So that means Voltorb is one of our most expensive cards in Generation 1, with a collector value of £1,503.25. Hands up if you thought that would be the case, that Voltorb would be up there in the big leagues. Electrode gives us another first edition base set, followed by Execute from Plasma Blast and Executor from Aquapolis. Cubone has his sad little card, followed by this badass Marowak from Team Rocket Returns. This Reverse Holo Legendary is Hitmonlee's, and Hitmonchan is the first edition base set. Lickitung doesn't get a lot of love, but its most expensive form comes in this illustration rare from Temporal Forces, for the grand total of £13.27. So if you want a cheap master set of one Pokemon, maybe Lickitung's the one to go for. For Coughing and Wheezing, we add these two cards into the most expensive national decks. Then this Rhyhorn and Rhydon, followed quickly by these two first edition base set, Chansey and Tangler. We can add Kangaskhan to the binder with first edition Jungle. Horsey has a bit of an odd card. It looks like it's asserting dominance over Shelder. Poor Shelder, who's got the cheapest card in the whole most expensive national decks, and then a Horsey decides to lie on top of him. Not cool, man. Following that, we've got this first edition Misty Seadra, Goldeen and Seaking from Aquapolis, and then this Staryu from Trainer Deck B with a chunky £90 and 19 pence price tag. Then Starmie from Skyridge with £120 and 25 pence. Creepy Mr. Mime goes in with the first edition Jungle, followed by Scyther for £154 and 83 pence. Moving along with, at the time, one-stage Pokemon that would all eventually get evolution stages, except Pinsir. What's up with that? Why hasn't Pinsir gotten a baby form or an evolved form? This shiny Magikarp from Neo Revelation rocks up to the binder with a cool £339 and 37 pence. And it's quite apt that the shining Magikarp takes the top spot, because our Gyarados is this huge, shining Gyarados from Holland Phantoms, with an incredible price tag of £1,503 and 25 pence, for a combined total of £1,842 and 62 pence for these two beloved Pokemon. Okay, maybe Magikarp not so much, but Gyarados for sure. Lapras has its first edition Fossil Holo card for us to add to our national decks, and then we have Ditto. This Pokemon can transform into any other Pokemon, so it's only right that for its most expensive card, we have Ditto depicted as a completely different Pokemon. This 2007 Games Expo promo Ditto card is extremely sought after. To put it into perspective, the next most expensive Ditto card is the common card from Skyridge. And while also researching this list, I found that there's actually 4 of this type of Ditto card from the Delta Species set, where Ditto is impersonating Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Charmander, and Pikachu. Eevee and our classic evolutions are up next, with this reverse holo legendary collection for our OG Eevee. Then for Vaporeon and Jolteon, we get these 2 EX Power Keeper cards with massive price tags, which is going to be a running theme in the evolution line, as we all know. And if you want to check out to see how Espeon and Umbreon got on, click the card above for the Generation 2 video. Flareon is our outlier in this situation, with this 2013 Regional Championship Staff card, just barely edging out the Power Keeper card. So 4 evolutions with a combined value of £1,556.56, really pushing the National Dex along and adding to our huge total. Are you keeping track so far? Porygon has this cool card. No, literally it says it's a cool card. Then we have the fossil Ammonites, Omanyte and Omastar, with the reverse legendary holo cards. These 2 along with Kabuto, they are the last ones, I promise. Then we get this Skyridge card for Kabutops, with an eye-watering £742.61. Paying that much for a Pokemon card would literally make my sanity extinct. Our final fossil Pokemon comes from Lost Origin, with this gorgeous Aerodactyl card. I absolutely love how we see all the other prehistoric Pokemon in the background, kind of replicating the old BBC Walking with Dinosaurs series, but you know, with Pokemon. Our big Snorlax card comes from the Team Rocket Return set released in 2004 and comes with a big price tag as well, £450.22. The 3 legendary birds come from 3 legendary sets. Articuno from Team Rocket Returns, Zapdos with the classic first edition base set, and Moltres from Skyridge. But which is your favourite? The Dragonite line are all League and Championship cards, and I would need to win the Euro Millions to add these to our world's most expensive national decks. This is a really nice evolution line, but my god, my wallet is fearful just seeing these things on my screen. Then finally, we round out Generation 1 with Mewtwo and Mew. Mewtwo for me could have either been the first edition or the Neo Destiny Shiny Mewtwo, but it's fitting that it's actually Rocket's Mewtwo EX from Team Rocket Returns, with an astonishing £901.92 value. Do we think the new Destined Rivals set with their Mewtwo will outprice this? Let me know. Then finally, we have the Mew Gold Star from Dragon Frontiers, Pokemon number 151 in our most expensive national decks, with a price tag of £1,129.32. Done. On a side note though, have you seen that new Chinese exclusive Mew card? That's currently going for like £5,000. Maybe we need to do an international version of this dex. So that is Generation 1 down. And so what do we think our current running total is? 15,000? 25,000? Try £34,700.53. An insane number to start off this world's most expensive national dex. Thank you for watching though. If you like this content, hit that subscribe button down there, and there's a like button which you can hit as well if you really fancy it. I'll be picking up the other generations, so you can let me know in the comments below which Pokemon you think will have the most expensive cards going forward. But for now, I've been Glaring Greg, and this has been the first part of the most expensive national dex ever.